in simulation, it's highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely. First of all, it explains nothing. So if you're looking for explanatory power, it doesn't matter. Pushing that aside, is it possible in any capacity? It's highly unlikely because
this guy was super churchy when he was young, he said. Obviously, he got turned off to that pretty quick. Went in some sort of weird Marilyn Manson-esque direction, with the goth morgue remaining as a name. I'm going to name my fucking self Morgue Official. Sir, do you work in the morgue? Sorry. I don't know. Some really strong Satanists vibe going on here without the Satanism. Like if Satanism colored someone and caused their fashion sense to be warped, I think this guy is talking about simulations and all this bullshit that doesn't answer any question. It's a basic mind fuck that we all entertain periodically, usually when we're high, you know, but it's not very useful in any real way. Is this a simulation? Do I fucking know? I've entertained the idea briefly and still do occasionally. Do it have any usefulness to do that? No, it don't. It really doesn't. Beyond very basic, just letting your brain have a day at the gym to run around, do some reps, pick the weights up, set them down, pick the weights up, set them down. What else? There's all manners of thoughts like this in different areas. People are clustering up, chatting with each other about different things that are very post-Matrix movie understandings of reality, or pre-2012 sentiments returning. People get excited, they want the world to end. And to a small degree, it's not like suicidal tendencies or death wish. It's something about this world is so wrong. It's not suicidal, but it's like you welcome it to be done, especially when you get older. I don't mean like old man older. I mean when you become an adult and you've seen enough of this shit. You've really got to be doing something real special, Jimmy, to want to travel the world and see all the things you see in the pictures firsthand. You're changing people's lives. What are you going and removing cancer from people that live in the hard to reach places or some shit like that? There does not motivate a person of even an extraordinary person without there being a lot of, it's got to be a lot more going on, you know, to get that to come out. Me, I'd be just as fine if I went to sleep and I woke up in the other realm. Well, you died, you had a heart attack. You didn't know. Well, you know, probably likely be like, yeah, fuck it, thank God, it's over. And do my utmost best not to come into this place ever again. I don't give a fuck what the benefits are, assuming it's some sort of experience from being separated from the one or whatever, however you want to break that fucking prize up and put it back into some sort of formulated thought. However, I think each of us are, to some degree, some a lesser degree, the all that is, realizing themselves. But from here on earth, in such a disconnected way, to believe that we're separate units of consciousness, independent and isolated from others. I used to believe that because it made sense. It's sort of what they teach you in school in a way. You know, I believe in God, but I don't necessarily believe the Bible's God anymore. I have a concept of Christ, which I don't believe the Bible version anymore the same. I don't even know if that's very comparable, even to jive with one another. Did I get it from church? As a result of having the experience of church, I did. Church is not a positive experience for a lot of people. Myself, it was moderately neutral, good qualities. Grandmother wanted me to go. She was trying to instill something in me that she succeeded, and she's gone on her way. But some part of the focus, or whatever the fuck it is, did imprint upon me through the process. But as it's more difficult now to even articulate what the hell it is, with an ever more diminishing sort of desire to point at the traditional things to say it is, and say, oh, Jesus, have you met Jesus? Have you met Jesus? Have you? Has anyone talked to you about Jesus? In one respect, that is so retarded of a place to come from. If you're actually trying to do the thing that you're attempting in that is saving souls or something, what do they think? I mean, is there real danger here? Yes. You could lose yourself. You could lose your mind. You could lose your life. You could enter into this place and end up in a state, assuming you come from oneness or the spiritual realm, where you're moderately differentiated from other things, yet a unit of consciousness yourself, which is the way I figure it's got to be. How far back does that unit of consciousness have a common experience with others? I think there's a simultaneous occurrence, like the Big Bang, where all the souls are there. Pow! Not saying anyone's done it or something like that, but something's occurring to that, like that. That seems to be clear, you know, or at least feels. You gotta feel that, though, you know. If you were a scientific materialist, you can't even use those concepts. You've got to just dissect shit and deal with the death of the world, and that's really all they get. They don't get any real use of what the purpose of any of the life is. You know, everything has become focused on the machinery of the existence, and it presupposes there's no necessity for spirit and all that, and it doesn't come in. And I don't think that at all. I think that if anything, we are the spirit. This is secondary, this bullshit, this flesh, you know. Is it important to question these things? I think it is very important for us to feel like we know where we're at, we know what's going on. Although that's never going to be limited. You don't fucking know today from tomorrow. What does it matter, you know? But you should want to know. If you're in a simulation, if you're on a world, it's important to have a worldview, and an accurate one if you can. From there, it becomes discernible, as the case or not, how you express that truth with another person? Do you tell them that they're in a fucking hologram and just don't entertain speculation with them? Are you just about yourself? Does any of that matter? Yeah, it matters. We're supposed to be doing something here, clearly, and not just about our daily life and get the job, pay the bill. It's supposed to be a little more than that. I think it's pretty difficult from times. Although you can do all kinds of things and succeed in all different ways, make it or not. The main thing that I think this is all about is absent. It's missing, because you don't have to do anything to maintain your spirit. Well, not like eating. It doesn't require there's a substrate of the existence that is energetic and spiritual and non-physical. That seems to give rise to what is material and physical and all that junk. And you got people that have a basic notion and understanding of reality at that level, and others that just completely take the ball-peen hammer to that if you even mention those things. And they don't believe that there will be anything after they die. They'll return to some sort of non-existing nothingness, and that's just the way it is. Bada bing, bada bam, bada boom. You can't convince them any otherwise. You may want to, if you've had experiences that have insights that show you something yourself of some sort of other value. And I think it's important to share with people that don't have that going on, because just that little bit changes so much. You couldn't have faith in something or a basic ability to say help me and then know that you're going to receive the help by asking. Then you would be so stressed at every little obstacle that you might as well not even be able to. You probably couldn't function. You wouldn't be able to get your shit together to do anything worthwhile anyway. And if you just live your life and be a normal person, not making a fuss about anything, would any of this matter? Even for that person, if they come out of it, I think that there's a experiential, in this world, in these conditions, if you suffer it and go through it, whatever you've learned while in it, it's drastically more beneficial for your non-physical side than you can realize. You could be a spirit and never have incarnated and talk about eating ice cream all you want. You don't know what it tastes like. You don't understand the experience. It's not going to click or make any sort of real sense. Which, from the other side, if you had some understanding of that would approach, you could figure maybe God would know and not have to be put in the experience to understand it. There's some sort of pre-connecting with that level of intelligence with something of God or supernatural or whatever. You know what I mean? We still have the mortal issue going on because we're in the mortal flesh. We will die. And there's not been any one of us that we're aware of that has beat the death. Well, except Enoch. Enoch was taken from Earth, so he's a technicality. He never died because he was taken away from Earth and was transformed into Metatron somehow. Don't even ask me none about that. just to say he didn't finish school because he left school. You know, you either graduate or you flunk out and die. Sure. What do? You make the most of what you can out of what your capacity allows you to. So some people are into working it out in their mind, trying to figure out what the fuck over, and alleviating some of those mental issues for other people, not just their self. Mental people normally do not do very well if it's just about their mental situation and shit. You know, you want to tackle these questions, you want to have the awe that floods over you when you consider amazement, wonderment, all that bullshit.
You can always just eat people.
And have that experience benefit others, not just you. You can't physically just go to work. Well, you used to. The man used to go and his work was his family's benefit. You could take care of a family on one guy working, raise a family, get you a little home, and they altered all that slowly on over time so that now you're probably going to have two people do it. You're not going to have a very functional child that you're trying to invest into doing that. Your kid's going to be raised by the television, probably a transgender, you know, programmed by the machine and then ready to go and serve at the let's burn shit up in someone else's town, the next town over. Let's go and protest over in the other town and burn all their shit up. Oh, wonderful. Great idea. Wonderful people. When you're doing shitty things, even if you're trying to protest an injustice, you know, you're destroying people's shit to do that, and you're still letting the government basically fund you and bail your ass out of jail. You know, all your virtue's gone. One good look at what's going on with that, and it's not worth it. It's not even useful. Do I care you're marginalized? No, really I don't. I don't give a fuck about you being marginalized. I don't give a fuck about your self-identity. If you're fucking darker than me and you have issues with it, I'm sorry you have issues with it. I have my own issues being me and whiter than you. Am I privileged? You could look at that, but that's not going to factor in very much. And you're going to run out of fucking credit on that shit. Because any of the people that are using those systems of thought and all that bullshit, they just turn into racists themselves. So, you know, what's the point in studying racism or trying to advocate fighting it if you're just going to end up a fucking black Klansman? Come on, that's retarded too. So it's important to have thoughts and think about shit, but you need to be very careful what movements you get swept up in. You know, what iconic personalities that you galvanize towards. Because they'll ruin your fucking growth and spiritual evolution very easy if you don't just get the reins on your own shit. Which is a mental thing first. You know, just consider deeply that there is meaning and open yourself to it and let the fucking magic happen. That's simple, good advice you could take. It seems to be true, at least mostly in my experience it does. And just be careful about groups and clusters of people, because that's when people really shine for being assholes and pieces of shit. And most of the time, all the logic and shit's there for that not to happen. Case in point, Germany, 1938.